Hi, welcome back to the Urban Cake Republic, and in particular this tutorial is going to show you very quickly how to make a very lovely decorative product. And what we're going to do is that we're going to do flooding. We're going to flood some cookies. Okay, just got one here that I made earlier, and it's a little dress, a little polka dot dress with a little bit on the bottom there. Okay, so it's entirely up to you what design you want to do, and of course cookies come in all shapes and sizes. So of course if you want to put polka dots in, you can. If you want to have it plain, if you want to put some glitter, if you want to glamorize it and divarize it, that's entirely up to you. But that's what we're actually going to focus on today. In order to actually flood your cookies, of course you're going to need a cookie. You're going to need a piping bag, and you're going to need a nozzle. Some people do it without nozzles. I find it's more easy to use a nozzle. For the outline, because I'm going to pipe the outline of the cookie, I'm using a number 1.5, which is a PME brand, but it doesn't matter what brand of nozzle you use, as long as it's a small writing nozzle, and a piping bag. You're going to need a palette knife and of course a bowl in order to mix up your colours, if you're going to mix up your colours, and also to mix down your royal icing in order to get the pouring consistency. And you're going to need a little bit of water, which turns your royal icing into the pouring or the run-out consistency. And you're possibly going to need a brush when you're actually doing your run-outs to push the royal icing into the lines that you need it to go into. All right, so let's start from the beginning. When you're doing your run-outs, you have to have a particular consistency. Now this is royal icing, and that's what we predominantly use to make our run-outs. And I'm just going to, this is actually homemade royal icing. So you can see it's quite thick and it's actually sticking to the knife. So what I'm going to do is put in some water. So I'm just spraying in some water. Okay, and what you need is a small amount of water. And water reduces the sugar crystals and starts to make it softer, a softer consistency. And what we're looking for is a sort of runny consistency. So if I turn this around, you'll be able to see that the water has started to reduce the royal icing and it's beginning to develop what's known as peaks, soft peak. Okay, so I'm just using the knife to make sure that the water is fully incorporated. Okay, so you can see it's softening. I'm just going to continue to add water. Whatever you do, don't add in too much water, because what might happen is that it will turn completely watery and you'll miss the point. So continue mixing in the water into the royal icing, and as you can see now, it's getting more and more stickier and gloopier, and that's what we're looking for. So the question is, how do you know when you've got the right consistency? It should be nice and smooth, and when you count to 10, you'll see that when you drop any icing, and I'll show you what I mean exactly, it will disappear. So you can see it's still getting softer and watery, and that's what we want. See, it's nice and soft. Okay. Now it's approaching the consistency that I'm after. So be careful when you're beating it, you don't want air bubbles in there, because if you have air bubbles when you're piping, it's going to leave some holes when it bursts, so we're trying to avoid that. Right, hopefully you've got the right consistency now. So, when I drop it in, if I just drop a little bit in there, you can see it disappears into itself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And what you want is for the icing to disappear. And I'm quite happy that it's the right consistency. Okay, so it's nice and sort of poury and thick. Still a little bit on the thick side, but that's great. That's what we want. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it into my piping bag and into a nozzle. Now what I'm going to do, using the 1.5 nozzle, as I say, a small nozzle will do, I'm actually going to go around the outline of the dress. So when you start, make sure you can actually get your royal icing out. When you're not using your nozzle, you can use a damp cloth to cover the nozzle so that it won't get blocked. Or you can even use a dress pin that's been sterilised to put inside, okay? I'm just going round dress. And sometimes it breaks. If it breaks, that's no problem. You just carry on piping. And as I pipe, if you notice, I'm lifting up the nozzle. It's broken again. And I'm just going round the outline of the dress. And going around the other side. Following the shape. And I'm lifting and dropping literally right till I get to the end, and then I'm going to go straight across. And that's it. Now where you find that it might have broken, just use a little bit of water. Stick the brush in the water, squeeze out the excess. Okay, and I'm just flattening the ends where they broke and I had to rejoin using a damp brush. Okay, quite happy with that. So what I'm doing now is the flooding. As you can see, the consistency is quite watery. So I'm just going from left to right. And because this is the thinnest part of the actual dress, I'm just literally painting, going from left to right. Now it's not quite going right up to the line, so I'm going to use the damp brush. I'm just going to push the icing onto those lines because I don't want to see any gaps at all. And if you don't have a brush, you can actually use a cocktail stick. A cocktail stick will do exactly the same thing. So make sure you push the icing right into those lines, but not over the lines. And then I'm going to continue. I'm just going to turn it around this way. I'm literally going to go left to right. As you can see, it's dissolving as it goes. And when you've got the right consistency, you won't see any lumps or bumps and no air bubbles as well. Just make sure I go right up to those lines. Okay, I'm just going to stop there. I'm adding my polka dots. Again, it's the same run out consistency, and I'm just going to do little dots. As you can see, it's dissolving into the colour. And then using the same RUNOUT, same white RUNOUT, and go across, and across, and across. Just making sure I hit those lines. Okay, and then using a cocktail stick we can feather the effect so that the colours sort of blend in. And as you can see, once you've over flooded it, that can happen, but that's no problem. Use a brush to remove the excess. So it's good to see, not just when things go right, but when things can actually go a little bit wrong. And you have to do this quite quickly. So this is Troubleshooting 101. So as you can see, quite easily managed and sorted. And that's the dress. And what you do, you leave this to dry, or you put it in the oven. And here's the finished product. 2 lovely, stunning evening gowns made out of icing. Almost good enough to eat.